I knew something was wrong the moment my house hesitated before letting me in. Homes don't do that unless they're hiding someone. So I pretended to leave for a week, slipped into the shadows across the street, and waited. And at midnight, my entire marriage walked out into the light, with 3 other women. Ravyn Mercer knew something was wrong before the key even finished turning. It was the way the house paused, like a living thing holding its breath. And homes don't do that. Not unless someone has taught them a new rhythm. Her fingers tightened around the doorknob. The silence behind it wasn't neutral. I was aware. Her house, once warm, familiar, comforting, now felt like it was inhaling someone else's air. A cold ripple slid down her spine. Without stepping inside, she pulled the door shut again, locked it slowly, quietly, as if the house might react to her decision. Then she whispered the lie she'd crafted with precision that very morning. "I'll be gone for a week, visiting my sister." She said it casually, loudly enough for the walls, and whoever listened within them, to hear. He would believe it. He needed to believe it. Guilty men always trusted convenient lies. She didn't go far. Just across the street, where the shadows swallowed her whole. She became a ghost watching her own life. The night breeze carried the faint scent of pine and the distant hum of traffic. She waited, her heartbeat steady, her mind sharp. That's when she felt a hand on her shoulder. Old, bony fingers. Ice cold. Mrs. Hale. Her elderly neighbor had always been strange, soft-spoken, observant, too aware of everyone's business. Tonight, her eyes looked carved from winter. "Wait until midnight," she whispered, breath thin as frost. "Everything will show itself." Ravyn didn't ask questions. Truthfully, she didn't want the answers yet. She was too tired of half-truths, excuses, and the fragile politeness of people who pretended not to see what was happening. Midnight. A simple word, but it sounded like justice. Ravyn leaned back against the tree she hid behind, staring at the house she had once loved, once protected, until it became a cage filled with secrets. He hadn't always been like this. He hadn't always been a shadow slipping through her days. Once, he was the warmth that made everything else fade. She could still see that winter storm night, snow swirling, the air sharp, the coffee shop humming with stranded strangers. He'd noticed her shivering, removed his scarf without hesitation, and wrapped it gently around her neck like she was something delicate. She returned it 2 days later, washed, folded, and already carrying feelings she didn't dare name. They fell fast. Too fast. They built a life before they learned each other's faults. When he proposed, she said yes with a heart that didn't yet know disappointment. But loyalty is fragile in the hands of a man who doesn't understand its weight. The first crack was small, a message he hid too quickly behind his palm. The second was a strange perfume clinging to his clothes. The third was a business trip his coworkers didn't know about. People think silence means you're unaware. They're wrong. Silence is strategy. Ravyn collected everything, patterns, passwords, late-night calls he thought she slept through. He wasn't cheating with one woman. He was conducting a full orchestra of betrayal, physical, emotional, financial. And when she found the unfamiliar gold teardrop earring under their bed, she didn't scream. She didn't cry. She pivoted. Emotion off. Strategy on. She studied him like an enemy. Calculated. Patient. Precise. In the shadows across the street, waiting for midnight, she felt no fear. Only preparation. And a hunger for the truth. Ravyn didn't just plan an exit. She engineered a trap with the precision of a surgeon and the calm of a woman who had nothing left to lose. She opened new accounts under a new address. Hired a lawyer who operated in silence, leaving no footprints. Digitized months of evidence, dates, screenshots, timestamps, inconsistencies he thought she'd never notice. She moved money, closed loopholes, gathered proof of every betrayal, every forged document, every financial scar he'd carved into her life. Then she set the final piece, her disappearing act. The lie of a week away. The moment he thought she was gone, his guilt melted into relaxation.
She saw it.
His shoulders dropped, his laughter returned, his phone stayed face up on the table. Good. Relaxation makes the guilty reckless. Midnight arrived like a judge. At 11:58 p.m., the house stood dark and still. At 11:59, lights flickered on one room at a time. At 12 o'clock, the front door swung open. Ravyn's breath stilled. 3 women walked inside carrying bags, comfortable, familiar, like they'd done this before. One tossed her heels on Ravyn's rug. Another headed straight to the kitchen. The third laughed loudly, spilling cheap perfume into Ravyn's hair. Then he arrived. Her husband. Laughing. Relaxed. Free of guilt. He wrapped his arm around one woman's waist with the kind of ease that once belonged only to Ravyn. He kissed her neck. The other 2 smirked knowingly. Beside Ravyn, Mrs. Hale folded her arms, watching with a chilling calm. "That man treats your house like a hotel," she murmured. "You deserve far better than him." Ravyn felt nothing. Not rage. Not heartbreak. Those emotions had burned out long ago, leaving only clarity. This was confirmation. Final proof. The last puzzle piece. They drank her wine, sat on her couch, treated her life like a playground, a stage for their games. But dawn arrived with a different kind of audience. The police. Not for infidelity. Not for trespassing. For fraud. While he was busy cheating on her heart, he had also been forging her signature on loans, credit lines, financial documents, believing she'd never look, never question, never rise. But she had risen long before he realized he was falling. He was handcuffed in front of the same woman he had used to humiliate her hours earlier, their faces twisted with confusion and betrayal of their own. He looked at Ravyn like she had pulled the ground out from beneath him. "You did this," he said, voice cracking. Ravyn's expression didn't change. "I just stopped covering for you." Just that. And the truth crushed him harder than any accusation. By noon, Ravyn stood inside her reclaimed home. Quiet, intact, legally hers in every way that mattered. His accounts were frozen. His charges were filed. His reputation fractured. She exhaled. The house exhaled with her. For the first time in months, it felt like her space again, breathing her rhythm, holding her silence, reflecting her strength. Mrs. Hale watched from her porch, gave a slow approving nod, and disappeared inside, a silent witness returning to the shadows. Ravyn walked to the center of her living room. The air felt new. Light. Cleansed. Peace settled over her like a warm blanket. Because revenge isn't about the moment someone is destroyed. Revenge is when you rise untouched, unbroken, and wholly yours again. That night, with the house settling around her like a loyal animal returning home, she whispered into the quiet, "I saw everything, and I lost nothing that mattered."